Cool. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the A7E podcast. This is your host, Jiggadrin, today, guys. Before we get started, I want to appreciate everybody for tuning in. Today, we do got the Instagram live running on my end, and also on my guests is in as well. Just to see if anybody tunes in, comments, whatever, says, hey, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Today, I have a very good friend of mine, a very long friend of mine. Haven't spoken in a very long time. I wanted to use this opportunity to catch up and then kind of see what he's up to today. So today we have Max Fuentes, right?
Correct.
All right, man. Max, man, I appreciate you coming through, man.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite.
For sure.
Appreciate it.
So it's been a very long time. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. The last time I was in your presence, you had longer hair.
I had a yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I was trying to remember the years because I'm not very
Yeah.
good with years, but I think it was what 2015 the last time I saw you.
Yes. It was like 2014,
14,
early
15.
2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And
It was a lot.
ridiculously long time, and I was thinking about it as well. So we're looking close to about 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago. Yeah. It's
S- So I believe when well, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, like a little bit of background. Where you from? Kind of where you at right now, and then and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So for those people that don't know me, I'm Max Fuentes. I'm from Monterrey, Mexico. And a little background of how I met Adrian and basically how I got a whole part of my life started was I moved. So at 12 years old, I went to IMG Academy. That was my first boarding school that I attended by myself at 12 years old. And I was there for 2 years. I got a scholarship there and played soccer there. And then I met Troy LaRue that showed me David Din, which is in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
as a technical trainer, and that's how I met Adrian. I got the pleasure to meet Adrian through that, and then after that we parted ways. I went to Shattuck St. Mary's,
That's right.
graduated high school there, played academy soccer there, and then went to Rollins College for my first year of college, and then I transferred to Fort Lewis College
Okay.
uh, in Colorado, and then I finished my college there. Played soccer over there for 3 years in the team, and graduated in this 2020. So middle of the pandemic, it was a hectic graduation. That's a whole story of itself.
Yeah.
And yeah, and now we're here. I'm working in a company that my dad founded. I'm helping him through that. So that's kind of a little brief story of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, man, for sure. And that's essentially where just like Max said, we first met in Austin, and it was a blast, honestly, for the time that I was there. Getting to know Max, you and your people and your family, and I speak a little bit more on your mom because I think your mom was kind of more around more than your dad was at that time. Um, Phenomenal woman. I mean, I remember specifically that she opened the doors, for us to kind of stay a couple of nights. One time where I think your parents were out of town, and until this, Max, believe it or not, till this very day, I bring it up every once in a while, right? Because I'm like, exercising and trying to eat well, right? But when I'm like craving a dessert, dude, like your mom's like the Maria cookies lemon thing that she made that one time, bro. Like honestly, since then I've never tasted one that good, and since then I've only had one that was very similar. And when I bit into it, it just like took me straight back to 2014, man. It was honestly, it was ridiculously like how good she made it and how quick she made it. And I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of many plates she has.
Does she still make that?
Yeah, she still makes that. It's believe it or not, I mean, she has so many other stuff that she
Yeah, yeah,
just
oh, for sure, for
the
sure.
flan, her flan is just
Really
on
good.
point. But yeah, I mean, that was a long time ago. But it was a pleasure to having you guys. It was good. It was kind of having you guys I mean, at my age, and I don't know what's the age difference. I was also thinking about that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was
so
thinking
at that time when we met, I was 22. So how old are you now?
I'm 25 right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought you were. So I'm 30. So it's about 5 year difference, man.
Yeah,
You were
it's about
16, right?
5 years. Yeah, I was 16 at the time. So it
Golly.
was it was kind of having three old because it was you, Walter, and Alejandro. I think
Right,
this day
right.
it was just having like three older brothers. Like literally,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
nice.
man. Honestly, those were one of just the coolest times of my life. Honestly, it was just constant training with like really talented people. Not only that, but hardworking people. It's like day in and day out, and it was really cool. Um, so yeah, so you went off to college. You went to Colorado, right?
Correct.
How was your experience there in Colorado? You know, not just with school, but it's like overall. Was there like a difference in culture? You know, was that new to you than what you were used to, or how was it?
It was. I mean, thankfully, I got the experience to live in a lot of different places. So it was, but it was a small. It was a small college town. Like
Mm,
just picture that, and it's Colorado, but you're 6 hours away from Denver, so you're closer to Albuquerque, which is three
okay.
hours, than Colorado. So it's really South Colorado, and it's beautiful. First of all, it's beautiful. The mountains, the college itself isn't it's top of the mountain, so it was just the
It's on
views
top of the
and
mountains.
it's on top of the mountain. You have to like go a little
Damn.
hill, so it's the views are just like amazing,
Yeah.
and so the feel is like near the views, and it was amazing time. But it's also a small college town, so it's you experiencing a culture like that, a culture
Yeah.
that's skiing, that's very tight. Like I mean, the school is very small. It was around 400 students.
Mhm.
So the college, the town itself, like from the team, people like you were walking down the street and they were like, "Oh, like good game yesterday.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, like,
yeah.
good goal yesterday," or "Oh," they were like, technically they couldn't you couldn't accept anything because of the NCAA at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and you were like, "Oh, I'll buy you lunch or something like that," and you were like, it was nice. It was a good close atmosphere, so it was nice. I really enjoyed it, and I went last year. I went to alumni weekend,
Oh, did you?
so and that was phenomenal too. Like it's
Were
just
like most
big
of your
throwback.
most of your teams that you played with went back as well?
Yeah, a lot of my teammates, not all of them,
Yeah,
but a
yeah.
lot of my teammates did, and it's fun because you play against the actual team, like it's an alumni game. You
Mhm.
play against the actual team, and obviously you have a few drinks after.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just remembering, and it's just you have a different interaction with the coach. It's my first time like going with the alumni, so I get to meet the coach in a different perspective. It's
Exactly.
nice.
I'll tell you
It's
what. Now that you mentioned that, so I went to college for 2 years in Wyoming, which sounds very similar to how you're describing Colorado. But I do believe, honestly, that Colorado is more beautiful than Wyoming because I've been to both. Um, Wyoming for 2 years, and then that's when I went to TAMU for 2 years. But I did in 2013. I think I went back for the alumni game in Wyoming. Right, same coach was there. Honestly, like 90% of the players that I played with in Wyoming went back for the alumni game. So it was like literally like memory lane, like all over again, right? Um, but you're completely right. Like I got to really interact with my coach in a different perspective. Like we also went to, you know, it was a super small town, probably smaller than what you're describing.
yeah,
So they had like a local bar, right? And we all went just to hang out, the whole team, and then the coach. And it was like it's so strange almost. Like you really start to understand that like at certain times, even though they're, you know, depending on your position of authority or whether you're a coach or teacher, whatever, even though you might bond with someone or like someone, you know, whether it be like a student or a player, like you really do have to almost draw like a boundary almost, even though you don't want to, because you feel like you could be really good friends with that person. And I really didn't realize um like how cool like me and my coach really were. Like he just like had so much love for us, and he was like expressing himself in ways that, you know, he wasn't able to before, right? You know, saying things that he wasn't, joking around in ways he wasn't able to, right?
of course.
And I thought that was awesome, and I always thought that, you know, his professionalism was always going to be professionalism. But you know, I soon came to realize that he not only turned into a friend because he is, but from being a coach and having his professionalism, also came opportunities like, he had then offered me a job or not. But it's really cool to see, if you had a good relationship with someone in that position, to transition into a friendship and then potential mentor. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's the definition of a mentor in a way.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
kind of the love of friendship that goes at the end, but it's like I saw you grow and I saw you develop, and it's that love that always translates to the friendship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. You.
I was also thinking about that, like there has to be there's always obviously when there's that relationship between player and coach, there has to be that fine line of there's the coach and there's the player. That you can't really have that relationship. But also I was thinking with the athletic trainer, I had that relationship, and
Mm,
even that relationship changed when I went up there. Like it was different. Like it was just like you said, it was you're no longer my player that I treat you.
yeah.
You're you're a regular. We're friends now. You're like
Yeah.
that, and it's little things like like social media or give me your Instagram, little things like that that just like
Yeah.
kind of style piling up, and you start to develop a more friendship relationship.
Yeah, and that's honestly the cool part, and that's essentially how Cause I mean, obviously, I coached a little bit past couple of years, and I say that because when I was a coach, obviously there are certain kids that are really mature for their age, right? Like can joke in certain ways they do amongst their players or amongst the teams, but you can't really partake too much because you got to have that certain line of professionalism. So it's always cool to see that. Now, what if you don't mind me asking, what is it that you ended up, studying in the school and ultimately graduating in?
I did business administration, a major
Okay.
in business administration, and a minor in psychology. So
Okay. All right. Any persuasion
I
classes?
yeah, I mean it was nice. I really liked the psychology, and I really thought about doing double major.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, not for the fact that I was scared of like the workload and everything. I knew it was gonna be tough, but I wasn't a big fan of the part of psychology of like clinical trials and like doing your own trials and
Okay.
all of that. I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in
Mhm.
the literature
Right.
about psychology. So it was kind of like the minor fit that perfectly. The minor was just you read the you read the literature about it, you learn the concepts, but you don't get to like do your own trials and stuff that I wasn't interested in. So it fit perfectly with my major in administration that I was just learning concept of how it works and trying to translate that into the business what I was learning, like into like HR and little things like that. But it was great. It fit. I mean, to this day I was hesitant at first to do it, but then right now it's like this minor. It, it's given me more like tools than I
Yeah,
would I
yeah.
would I would have thought.
Absolutely. You know what? I 100% agree in regards to, because every now and then you'll come into this social or public debate, whether or not college is important, university is important, higher education after high school is important or not. And for me, it has always been a yes and no, right? I've experienced both. Now, and I didn't. I went to the college for 4.5 years simply because when I transferred, uh, my first 2 years credits didn't transfer, so they try to make me do more, and I'm like, I'm literally only here to play soccer, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. And maybe that was like a bad mindset to have, but that was the truth. And that's actually when I withdrew and it went to Forza in Austin, right?
Yeah.
So it's always like a social debate, whether university or higher education is really important to achieve, whatever goals that you're trying to do now. And I think I really like what you said right there in regards to it does give you more tools than you would have had before, right? Obviously, depending on what you study. In your opinion, right? You went to college, you've already graduated, you're working, you say you're helping your pops, right, in the business.
Yeah.
Okay, and you have mentioned that what's it called? That you have more tools from that. What is like your take? Have you ever heard that debate before? Like, you know, because there's so many students graduating and the same fields, right? Every single year, like the amount of students graduating every single year are by far surpass the amount of job opportunities in that field, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, what's your take on that? Since you've been there, you're working out, which is very good. Um, is it an absolute, is it crucial, do or die for higher education?
I think, I mean, summarizing it, it kind of like, I mean, it's very generic, but nature and nurture. I think you're gonna
Okay.
boil at the end. It boils down to that. And right now, the office that I'm at and where I work, you have both people. You have people that haven't even didn't even graduate high school and
Okay.
are a key component to the company because of their experience
Right.
and their connections and their this guy is in supply, like he buys he's in charge of buying all the supplies, so through experience and through he knows all our contacts, he knows everything, and it's all through experience, and obviously he knows like basic math, basic stuff, but it's just high school level,
Right.
and he's a key part of a big company. And then you have the director of the company right now that is the total opposite. It's
Oh.
just graduated, all this, and it gives you a structure, gives you that enough structure to run the company. I think you gotta have both people to know it's like from my perspective, for
Yeah.
another company to work,
Okay.
because I think that like that connection between the reality and making things happen in the theoric and the literature and like all this
Mm.
theoretical concept, a lot of people that graduate stay there, stay in the concept of, oh, this is how it should be done because the book says it.
Right.
But it's not how real life works sometimes.
Right.
And it's just, I think you need the balance of both people.
That, and
In
that makes
order,
total sense actually, because you're talking about, for lack of better words, the educated person, right? Um, is for the most part going to do it by the book, but complementary to that, or to supplement that, you need someone who's going to think outside the box, right? Who's not so uh who's not so closed off by the book, essentially, right? And that's a good point, actually. That's a very good point. But I love the fact that you're actually able to see firsthand both of those experiences. Because I've always wondered to myself, and I'm gonna be honest, to all the listeners here, and I've honestly, since after I withdrew from my university, I navigated my whole life so far with peer, just like speaking to people and networking for the most part, right? Nothing that I've done, like, with my career or side jobs, whatever, my money making opportunities, has come from my time in school. And I didn't do that on purpose. It's not something that I was like, oh, screw that. But the reality is that everything that I've ever done has been because of simply networking, asking, and you know realizing that if you train me, or you think I'm capable enough, and you're willing to invest a certain amount of time and whatever into me, I'm a fast learner, I'll do it right. And that's what it's always kind of turned into. And I thought that it's just so strange. But then on the other side of that, I guess it also kind of depends on what the job description is, what it requires, and then if it does kind of require that type of person that you just spoke about, then maybe there's no other choice but that person.
yeah. I mean, at the end, like you said, it's I had the privilege to experience both of these point of views, because the fact that I'm privileged enough that my dad has his own company and I'm able to experience that and live that. But I think at the end of the day, it's just, so it's really up to you what you do with your tools. And at the end of the day, like you see, you don't really have to, like, you don't have to do anything. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's just whatever you want to do with your life, and it's just the tools, like you said. You didn't get all your tools, like you say. You didn't get anything from being in college, and you didn't get anything out of that. But you got other tools that you got more stuff out of that. So it's
Right.
you your own body's like, okay, so this is how I get rewards, and this is how we get. So in this, you build your your lack of your tools through that path instead of you build your own path at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, and I agree, and I definitely agree. Now, what, after you transition into, I guess you call it the work life, right? How has that lifestyle been for you, as opposed to when you were in school, right? Because obviously in school, you're studying, you're having fun. you're also competing as a player. So for the most part, there's a certain level of cautious there because you're also in the NCAA. They're pretty aware of a lot of things that are going on. But now that you've transitioned into the work life and you're an adult now, right? You're doing your thing, you're getting it going. How is that different when you look back to how you were, or the lifestyle that you had before?
It was difficult. I mean, it was a difficult transition in all aspects. And basically, the big aspect. I mean, you and me, we lived through soccer. Soccer was a big part of our life,
Yeah,
and taking that away was just. I knew it was gonna happen. We knew eventually it was gonna happen,
yeah,
but it's just it just throws your world. It just turns it upside down. It's just wow. Let me get something in a way like let me get. It was that was the question that I asked always myself. Like, okay, then what's next? Like, what am I good at? Like, soccer was what I was good at. Like in my head. Like
yeah,
that's what I invested all my time in. That's what I'm good at. Okay, what's next? And it was obviously the work, like the work life, but it was that transition of I don't know this, and it was unknown, and it was just putting the grind of just showing
yeah.
up every day and learning a little and little by little, and it was just once you look back, it's like the snow effect, and it's just you look back and it's like whoa, like I'm comfortable here now, like I've
Hmm.
got the hang of this, I get confidence in this, and it's suddenly like honestly, it's been 2 years, almost 3 years,
Hmm.
and right now it's like I'm finally like, okay, like I like where this is going. I got the hang of it now. Like I can I can direct like where I'm going now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You, like 2 years before, it was just a big ball of chaos. It was like
Yeah.
putting everything together, and it was a challenge by itself, but it's nice. It was a good transition, but it was a long transition if you think about it, almost 3 years.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that, Max, honestly, is because obviously I went through that myself, and it starts to become almost comical. It's not comical because depending on the individual, there can be certain level of emotions involved in that transition, right? There can be what depending on your level of idea or commitment, that you had towards whatever you were doing. There could be a lot of negative emotions in that transition when you come to realization to certain things. And I had that. And I remember, essentially when I just had to take a different route. The thing is, I did it just like I had no idea what I was going to do. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I was aware of certain things that or characteristics that I had that could be translated into skills. I was aware of that. But it's like, what am I going to do after this that I enjoy as much, as soccer? Really, there is maybe at that point there is nothing that has.
There's really nothing.
There's really
I mean,
nothing,
to
right?
this day, I still haven't found it. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get joys and everything, but not the same.
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like there is really nothing. You always hope to find it, but for me, it's yet to match that level of passion, love, and commitment, right? But it's almost comical now because everybody that I speak to, and I'm gonna really narrow it down. Majority of the people that I've spoken to from Forza have had that exact transitional moment where they're like, okay, do what now, right? And I remember me and Martine actually spoke about this like on a very earlier episodes. He was going through the same thing. He had just come back from Europe, and then now he was back here because he lives like 10 minutes away. He's like, okay, I physically saw him go through this psychological transition where he couldn't figure it out. And I think one of the things that we can do, and it doesn't just pertain to people who play sports, but maybe they've done something so long for their whole life, they've come so attached to it, emotionally involved, invested. Their whole life has been just around this thing, and then one day to the other, they have to do a 180 and walk the other way. It's like,
Your
well,
personality. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, so what do you do? And I love what you just said, and I think that's what I did, and that's how I was able to stay sane when you said that every day you just showed up for something. Like you just kept showing up until you really were able to look back and be like, oh damn, like it's been however long, and I actually feel like I'm in a decent place right now. um, I think that's crucial to kind of just highlight is, if you feel like you've been doing something for so long that you love, but you're forced to turn away. I think the biggest thing that you should focus on is just showing up every single day, little by little, and it's going to cause that snowball effect, like you mentioned.
Yeah. I mean, and like diving a little down on that, I, in a way, I was forced to, obviously, because they stopped playing. But through that transition, through that chaos, I was compensating, and I was playing in every little soccer league that I
Yeah.
could. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single day, just playing, and that eventually ended up because obviously I was in training, I was in taking care of my body the same way I was. The
Mhm.
age, as you can say, but that's not really, that'll be just an excuse, I guess, obviously. But that led up to my injury, and I mean, now talking a little bit, I injured my meniscus on July
Mm.
11th actually, and got
Just
surgery
just a couple of months
just
ago.
recently. Yeah, yeah, it's a couple of months ago,
How?
and I was playing. I was playing soccer and by myself, and I didn't even get a tackle or anything. I was running down the line, like on the wing, and I tried to just cut the ball back to like for somebody to finish it. And on that cut and that like turning of my knee, I just felt a big pop
Mm.
and just could not run anymore. And could not put pressure on anything. It's just swollen up. Got MRI, went through the whole process, and it was just the meniscus was just
Meniscus.
torn in half. And a big problem was also it took me like 3 weeks to get like schedule for surgery,
Mhm.
and I got surgery the 1st of August. And the doctor, when he came in, he was like, "It's too wide, like it's a little too wide that I cannot reattach it again." And so he basically just did the best he could, clean up the things that were already like falling apart,
Yeah.
and was just like, then like I woke up the next day. Well, not the next day, but like after, and he was just, yeah. So basically, I just recommend you to stop playing soccer. Like
No way.
you're gonna like you cannot play soccer anymore. Like you should just change your sports. All this, and obviously, I was devastated at that time, and
Yeah.
I was just like, no, no. And then I have a physical trainer that I have my full confidence on, and he was just like, no, bro, like I've seen people worse than you, and you're not gonna be able to be back on playing like you were before, but you're gonna be able to play. Like it's gonna be a long process, and I'm on
Your
that
athletic
process.
trainer said that.
Yeah, and I'm on
Okay.
that process. Like right now, I did like 2 months of almost 2 months of therapy, of physical therapy with pool and stuff, and then I'm getting what's called a PRP. Well, I don't know if that's called. I don't know if the translation in English that's like how it goes, but basically what it is, they take blood from like your own blood, they put it in there, infuse it, and they
Mhm.
put some medicine in it, and they basically just inject it in your knee so it can like recuperate and basically help.
Yeah, yeah,
That's,
yeah.
that's the treatment. So I'm in that process, and then after that, it's more rehab, and after that, hopefully my knee will feel good. But
Damn, at it. So are you on crutches like or something right now?
no, I'm walking. Like that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Like, my doctor said I was like, because it was a big news and it was a big shock because I was not be able to play soccer. It was like, okay, like what options do you give me? He wasn't giving me an option. He was just like, no, like that's just a part of your life that's over. Like you have to move on and all this. And I was like, no, but like, what can we
Yeah, I
do?
can't.
It was
I
like
can't.
no. And he was like, well, basically, like I was like, you can do anything you want. It was like, right now, I'm just telling you, is for you to have a, a like to prolong the life of your knee,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
prolong meaning like when you get to 40, 50, you don't need a knee replacement.
Mhm.
It's like you can keep going with your knee and play and all that. Like even though I can't because I can't really run, it hurts a lot. But
Damn.
he was like, you are gonna be able to still do all that. It's just for how long.
Mhm.
So I was just like, okay, so like obviously if you put it that way, I'll sacrifice soccer. But right now I'm at the point that I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna just sit down with my hands crossed and not do anything
Yes.
about it. Like I'm gonna try to do something at least, and then like give it like 6 months. Like I said, I was like, I'm gonna give it intense 6 months and see how I feel afterwards. If I don't feel any difference, or I don't feel better, then well, that's good. Like we're gonna have to change, make some changements, but make some adjustments. Sorry, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm gonna try. Like that is the thing that pisses me off the most. Like from doctors, they're like, there's nothing you can do. Like, yeah, there's all these treatments, but there's nothing, and like there's really nothing. I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Okay, so
I I think the scariest part for me is that even though like I don't play soccer like that anymore, like I stopped playing competitively, and I mean competitively because for a couple of years, like I would play like when I actually lived in Austin for like a year and a half, so I would play tournaments, for money and all that stuff. It was pretty good level for adults. And then I pulled my calf, right, whatever. But then when I pulled my calf, obviously, like just the physical fitness and all, it just went down, right. And then now I essentially play because I love it still, but I play once a week, maybe if I can, almost for therapy, almost, right, like just my mental therapy. And then like, so it's so scary to hear you say and imagine myself like injuring myself like that, where it, like, now I cannot have my therapy whether I want to or not, right, like because I'm injured. And to think about that just is ridiculously scary.
yeah, and like I mean, to end my whole point, it was just like that kind of pushed me to like, okay, now you really have to move on. Now you really have to find something else. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
really
yeah,
now, because like you said, like that becomes part of your personality, and it was like
yeah,
you lose that, and it's like, okay, what am I without that? So it's kind of like okay, you have to do the jump and find something else.
yeah.
And gladly now I can say like work. At least I find enough like pleasure in work and doing stuff in work. Like I'm really getting my happiness through work,
Mm.
and it's good. Like I said, I found something different, something new that has changed my whole. I didn't think I was ever gonna be here. To be honest with you, I didn't think I was ever gonna come back to Mexico. I think I was gonna like if I didn't graduate in the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
like if I wasn't forced to come back, I probably would have stayed in the states a lot more longer. Like
Oh,
I was already applying. Like when I was in senior, I was already applying for my working visa, which I was almost gonna get it, but through the whole pandemic and all that, through the mail and my documents got lost in the mail. Basically, that's what they said.
really?
They didn't get my application, so it was like, okay, you have to send all the documents again. But I was already here in Mexico, so I was like, okay, like this is impossible. And like it was literally the middle of the pandemic, so it's like, okay, like I guess I'm not working in the states anymore.
Dang. Okay, so now you're in Mexico. Um, you're in Monterrey,
Correct.
right? How so? Because you were in the state. So were you born and raised there? Like born there? Sorry. Okay. So how's the like? How is Monterrey or living there, working there? I mean, I'm assuming you have friends and all of that stuff, right? Like, how is that different from the states? People from like, you know, every once in a while we'll hear about the horror stories, right? About the scary, that Mexico's dangerous, right? And in all transparency, like my parents are from Monterrey as well, but from a small town, Nuevo Leon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't. The last time I
States.
gone, yeah, the last time I gone there was when I was 13, and we haven't gone back since because of all of that, right? And my parents like they want to go, but they're like, no, it's not safe, type of thing. You're there though, you're living it. Like you kind of see. I don't know how far you travel outside of Monterrey, but how is everything over there?
I mean,
Oh my
it
gosh, I ain't going. Just kidding.
it's just no, like you said, it's really not like to me like it's not really visible anymore. It's obviously you have to be careful. Like it's a how can I put it? It's something that's become a reality. Like you have to be careful, especially like on the roads, like in the highways. Like if you go from here to Texas, like on those like the roads, basically you don't travel at night. Like it sounds common sense because it's became a reality now. Like right now, it's if I were to here to go visit you in Austin, I would not leave right now because
Mm-hmm.
there's a big chance that something would happen to me in the highway because at
Mm.
night there's people doing that. that exists. So as you
Mm,
said, you adopt it to your reality, to your life, but it's not like you see it every day that it takes over. So you kind of, it sounds bad, but you get used to it and you adopt, you change your habits based on that. Like as the example that I just put, you don't
that's
leave
it.
at night and you don't travel at night, little stuff like that, and you don't stop at certain gas stations. Like in the highway, you try to just don't stop because it minimizes the chances.
Yeah.
It's just you gotta just try to minimize the chances as much as possible. It doesn't happen. It's not like I'm saying like it happens to all my friends recently, but it happens. Like it can happen, but it it's more controlled as it was a long time ago, like
Yeah. Yeah.
2000, 2010, 2000. Those were bad years, but like 2012, those were bad years. But now it's back to normal.
Normal. Yeah. Damn, that's intense, honestly. You know what? I was just thinking about this earlier before we got in the call. Uh, Whenever I went to Monterrey, I think it's like 3 4 years. We went like a trip because um we had somebody from Monterrey. It was my fiance's mom's boyfriend at the time. You know, he was very familiar. So we went on the bus from the border. Yeah. So no, yeah, we went on the bus on the border, and then we had to checkpoint or something, then switch a bus in Mexico, and then he ended up in Monterrey. It was intense, right? Um, and then I remember you hit me up. And you're like, "Hey man, what's up? Like you're in Monterrey, right?" And you're like, "Let me know if you need
Yeah,
anything," which I thought was pretty cool. But so we were only there for like 2 days, right? We're in and we're out, and I got to kind of just being there as a tourist, of course, more of just for entertainment, so to speak. And it is different. Like it is different. Obviously that's my culture, that's my heritage as well. I remember on the way back, we had got stopped on the bus and like pulled over by authorities. It wasn't anything like scary, but the fact that they were able just to pull over a whole bus like of people. The guy walked in, he's like checking everybody's like passport. It wasn't even checkpoint, it was just like a stop.
yeah,
And I was just like, dang, like what if this person that stopped us was the wrong person,
yeah,
like for negative intentions, or they're a part of whatever you want to call it. Like it literally could have been a whole different scenario. And just to think deeper about those situations gets a little scary sometimes.
yeah. I mean, obviously, and at the end of the day, you don't know what they're thinking, what's gonna happen with them. But from, I'm not gonna say experience, but like from living here, I guess, just
Yeah.
like that, it's just you start to use more. It sounds so bad because like the fact that I have to say now it's like common sense here.
Yeah.
It it shouldn't be common sense. Like
Exactly.
all these words that, like, as you said, like this happen. All these words shouldn't happen, but now it's just common sense. Like you don't go this, you don't do this, you don't do
Yeah.
certain things. It's just, but it's bad at the end of the day. Like it's just adjusting your life to that, which is wrong at the end of the day. Like it should, but it's also not like Hollywood also paints it very wrong.
I
Like,
believe that.
and that at the end of the day, it's like tied into you. Your culture is subconscious, so it's just like when you things like do happen, your mind goes there. It's like,
I agree.
you know,
I 100% agree with that. And uh, I did go to Cancun last year. It was 1 year ago, literally. 1 year ago, I went to Cancun for like 7 days, right? Um, I mean, that was a lot different transition or travel. We just kind of flew in and then they picked us up. And that was fun. I mean, there was no problems there, even though a couple of weeks before we went, there was like some, what's it called? News or what do you want to call it, that there were people and two different gangs, but is right. But it was fun, and I believe that whenever things do go on like that, we the picture of whatever they show us in the movies and when that's the first thing to come to mind because that's all we know, really, right?
yeah. I mean, yeah, Hollywood. Hollywood definitely doesn't help our image. We don't help it ourselves, but like they definitely they don't help either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, so that's cool though. But I'm hoping honestly that one day, I mean, that my parents kind of get pumped enough to kind of go back. I'm definitely would love to see the hometown, the small town that I was able to see when I was little. Um, so
It's a
now,
different culture. It's different.
yeah. So tell me now. So we're good. We're working. We're doing a thing. What are some, if you have any, if not, no problem. It's just out of curiosity. If you had any time to think, what are some goals that you might have for yourself? Whether it be personal, financially, whatever. Is there anything in your mind that you've been thinking about lately? As you kind of go on a day by day, or are you just simply in the moment, day by day?
Uh, no, it was like to the first year and a half of that transition was all it was like I said, just showing up and living day by day and all that. But now it's I'm looking both. I'm also applying for a master's,
Okay.
so I got that lined up, pretty coming up if everything goes right in April
Okay.
of 2023, like this coming up April, and got that lined up, which it was a thing that I've always wanted, but I didn't want it to do it right after college.
Right.
I wanted to have this experience of work and getting that and making sure that my master's is something that I was like, okay, this is what I wanted to master myself in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like so now I think I found that and I found the master that I want. So it was a big goal that I'm gonna about to accomplish. It's well about to start to accomplish. It's a year and a half, 18 months.
Okay.
Remember the master's program? So that was really fun. And then also I had a couple lined up projects lined up in work that are not happening yet. Like they're slowly evolving, but they
Hmm.
have a lot of potential. So I see that in the future. I see that I see good things in the future lined up in those two senses. And I think personal goals is just being able to be, I guess, like, eh, it's a long time from there, but financial independence, like through like just I'm living with my parents now.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
Which is
that.
smart.
Which is it's at the end. It's fine.
Ridiculously smart.
I did an investment in an apartment, so I'm
Okay.
paying monthly for an apartment right now. That I get it in June of 2023. They give it to me, and I took a loan in the bank and everything, and I'm paying for that. But basically, June 23, I can move out and I get my own apartment.
Okay.
But I think the smart thing to do is just still stay here and rent that apartment and have that as passive income for a
Oh,
while.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
S-
I did it as an investment. Like
Of
I
course.
didn't do it to live there specifically, but I could live there.
So
Obviously,
you're currently renting out an apartment in Mexico.
no. I'm currently paying. So I bought the apartment. Like it's
Oh, you
mine.
bought the whole apartment.
Yeah.
Okay. As an investment.
It's like they're building it now. Like I got it in
Okay.
pre-sale. Yeah, I got it
Okay.
in pre-sale. So they're building it now, and I get it in June 2023.
Okay.
And then obviously I'm gonna have to take out a loan from the bank to pay like fully. And my idea is to rent it so it pays for itself.
Perfect.
And that's the idea. But also I could it's 3 rooms, so I could basically go with two roommates and
Absolutely.
then and still like get balance, like get like at least don't make money out of it, but I still cover
You're
the
living
expenses
for free,
of it.
basically.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So
Now
just
over
cover
here, sorry, I
cover
was
the
gonna say,
expenses of the loan.
yeah, I was gonna say, so over here we call that house hacking, like where essentially, like if you want to get like a duplex, right? And you get the loan out, you buy a duplex, and then you live on one side, but you're charging your tenant on the other side of the duplex, essentially what the monthly mortgage is, right? So if you pay anything, maybe somewhere from 50 to $100 a month, but you're essentially living for free. But the more rooms you have, like you mentioned, you can for sure live for free, and you can still potentially make some money there while you're living in the apartment.
Yeah, but at the end, it's also that, and I kind of also want it just because it's also near like near the factories, like near
Hmm.
the industrial areas. So there's a lot of like new general managers from those companies that come in from like
Mm.
other states and are here for a year, 2 years, and are just good tenants, and they usually just rent them for a year, 2 years, and they pay for the whole thing. And it's just they're higher ups in the factories, and they're good tenants at the end. So
That's sick,
I'm
man.
just
That's
doing
yeah.
that.
And to kind of go back to the point about living with your parents, man, I think honestly, and I don't know if it's excuse me, I don't know if it's the exact same effect in Mexico as that's kind of what's going on here in regards to the economy, where everything's ridiculous, dude. Like, when was the last time you were over here in the states?
Uh, I mean, for like vacation or like
I don't know, just like here, let's
just
say,
in general, like last time I think it was like a month ago. I went there. I
okay,
went to McAllen and came back like the same day, literally.
okay.
Yeah.
So everything's pretty intense right now in regards to prices. Like everything's up, right, compared to pre-pandemic or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's an extremely smart move. Like if you can, and your parents are cool about it, like, dude, stay with your parents, and if you're working, save up the money or whatever what you're doing, like reallocate it towards potential assets or investments. Like if you can really stay with your parents and they're completely fine with having you there, do that. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that, by the time you leave your parents, you need to have
Yeah.
something to show for, right? Like you can't make, I don't know, whatever, let's
Uh,
say 3 grand a month, and then you stay with your parents for 3 years and you save $2,000. It's like, come on, man,
yeah. Like
um
sure. You have to
yeah,
like
yeah.
you have to be like you said, be sure you're gonna be able to leave the nest, and you have to like
Yeah,
support yourself at the end of the day. Like no, it's not like oh like leave and like leave like live by yourself 2 months and be like oh
I
nah.
come back.
Yeah. It's like yeah, I'm
Yeah,
back. Hi.
yeah, no, and that's honestly, and I think, I do think that living, alone and independently does have its perks, in a sense of it does build certain characteristics. It does build character, but I think the smartest here thing to do is, you can build all the character you want, but if you're struggling financially, it's like it's like, if I'd rather be okay with, with the financials than build the character type of thing, if you have the choice. But I definitely think that's a smart move. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think here, and I do want to get some clarification. Is everything in Mexico like pretty normal in regards to the economy as it has been, or have you also seen like some price increases on certain things?
Nah, I mean inflation hits. I mean it's still the highest. Like it's like the world economy is just still high, and also like it. I mean, how can I put it? I mean, to put it in perspective, I don't know. It's a pack of. I don't remember the thing. Oh, yeah, it was like a pack of cookies or something. I was looking at it, or like
Mm.
soap. I was looking at that. Just random things, like just going mainly up for weird ass, like the toilet paper, like weird
Oh
ass
yeah,
reasons. It's just stuff like that. But like now, it's just everything is going up.
yeah,
Everything is constantly going up.
one
Like
hundred percent.
our president, like I don't really try to get into like politics a lot.
Yeah.
Like I need to. It's a thing that I should be doing more often. But I know that our president is just trying to like put a cap on like the the basic supplies like tortillas, eggs, all this for to help the economy. But as I could say, I don't know if that's gonna help or it's just gonna rise inflation even more.
That's interesting. I don't know either, to be honest. I'm not an extreme economic, or don't know too much about that. I do know cause and effect, but I don't know what causes could affect certain things. But it is interesting, that concept, to put certain caps on, basic supplies. I think that's an interesting concept. I don't know the effect that it would have, but to
Yeah,
kind of think about it would be
I'm
cool.
definitely not expert on the topic, but
Yeah,
it's
man. Well, I'm trying to think, if there's anything else, so I'm trying to think. You essentially told us some of the plans that you have, some of the things that you want to do. You're looking to do your master's. Is that in the same business?
Yeah, it's like administration of businesses, and like I'm trying to like translate the actual like, it's direction and administration of companies basically.
Okay. And is
Like,
that essentially what you're kind of doing for your pops there, like in the business, or what would you say your role is at the moment?
basically, yeah. So basically, there's two companies. One that's the older one. It's a printing company. We do all sorts of advertisements. Like if you look at, it's called POP, point of purchase. What we
Mhm.
do, it's basically stands, all the stands that you see at Walmart and all those like Coca Cola and like the big like all those brands. We make those sort of things like that company does. That's the oldest company. It's 30 years in the business and all that. The new company that I'm in charge of, it's 3 years old, and it's a lot of the printing and a lot of the displays are made out of corrugated plastic sheets. I don't know if you're
Mm.
familiar with corrugated plastic sheets.
Not too creative. I mean, not too familiar. Sorry.
So it's basically cardboard, like regular cardboard. It's basically the same thing, but just in plastic.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to explain it. It's basically more durable. It's recyclable. Like obviously the cardboard is also recyclable, but it you can water it. Like it has more perks. Obviously a little more expensive, but it's usually used in recyclable packaging
Okay.
for make boxes that you're gonna use over and again, over and again. So based on that, my dad decided to make an investment in one of the machines that make those kind of sheets because it was 80% of the material that he bought and printed on.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like an idea to do a vertical integration.
Okay.
So we used to buy supply, we become our own supplier, and based on that, I basically helped through the while that was company was building a little bit like its name and all that when I was coming here in the summers. And basically, long story short, the guy that he was in charge was not giving the results, and
Hmm.
I was being mentored by him. And while I was there and I was learning, I knew something was off. I couldn't really tell it was something because I was also learning,
Hmm.
and he everything he said I could not.
You couldn't dispute it.
I had no way of proving you were wrong
Yeah. Exactly.
because he was my mentor. If you want to see it.
Mhm.
And but I knew something was iffy, and I basically one day I jumped the gun with my dad. I was like, Dad, give me a chance. Like, give me a chance of. I had a team. Basically, I had two guys from Mexico that I brought over, that are experts in the machine, and basically kind of like built my little team. And I basically told my dad, I was like, here, like, give me a month. Worst case scenario, you're back to where you were. Like,
True.
so worst case scenario, give me a shot. So he was like, okay, go for it. The most stressful month of my life. Not gonna lie. Most
Yeah.
It was learning. It was for many reasons, but at the end of the day, it turned out to be
Good move.
basically just we didn't make money, but we didn't lose money for first
Yeah.
time and net zero. So it was like okay, then next month, then it was a little green, and then a little more green, and then a little bit like that, and it was just like okay, let's get the ball rolling, and it was little by little, and now it's just from what it was before, it's grown a lot. It's grown a
Damn.
lot, like in every aspect, in organization, sales, everything.
Damn. That's sick. That's
And
awesome.
basically, I'm not. So it's a holding. We basically do it like the two companies are part of one,
Right.
and we have the director, which is it's a woman. It's called Laura Lopez,
Mhm.
and she basically runs both companies. So
Mm.
she's my boss, and my dad is basically the retire funder that he just goes in once a month to the
He's
office and
chilling.
just checks results. Like it's just okay. This is what we need to make next year. Like all this and that's all. But at the end of the day, he's not in the day to day anymore.
Okay. Which is
So
good. Which is
which is good. Like I'm basically helping my dad be retired, which is nice.
yeah.
Which is
That's
nice.
good,
Like
man.
I'm taking more responsibility at the end of the day. It's like I tell him it's our turn. Like he already built what he already built, and it's it's amazing what he built. So it's just what it's our turn now. What's from here now?
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Honestly, that's I'm glad to hear things are just going good for you. Things are organized. I'm glad your people are well. Um,
Turn on the light.
honestly,
Kind of
yeah.
dark.
Oh yeah, that's a studio light. Oh, there you
This
go.
is actually my dad's home office. So this is where he spends most of his time now.
Dang,
But
bro. Look, I mean, background
yeah,
looks sick. Look.
he has the setup. Like this is a cool setup. So I was like, whenever I thought podcast, I was like, this is where I can answer.
Nah, that's awesome, man. Honestly, hey, look, I typically do like to keep these around the 45, to an hour. I do have some that have gone like, hour and a half, 2 hours, but I'm starting to realize that the videos that perform or podcast episodes that do better are the kind of the 45 minute to an hour. So yeah, man, I just honestly, Max, I appreciate you coming on. It's been a long time, and every time I see you on Instagram, I just kind of be like, wonder how things are going for you. I appreciate you coming through and kind of letting me catch up with you and hear about your story and all, the everything that you're able to share. And I appreciate you, honestly.
No, appreciate the invite, and it's always a good time talking to you, and better time catching up. A long time, like we said, long time we haven't talked.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's get
man. Yeah. So I think just before we go, is there anything else that you want to give like an update to, say anything? I mean, obviously this doesn't have to be the last time that we run an episode, but for now, is there anything that you'd like to kind of share, say?
No, I mean just again appreciate the invite, appreciate the opportunity to share, and you allow me to share with your audience. So it's great. Thank you for that, and hope we can make this soon and get more people involved so we can have more good content.
Yeah, man, for sure. Look, guys, hey, everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the conversation, if you enjoyed the episode, if you got anything from it, or just pure, just being able to sit back and just listen to the episode and you've enjoyed it, share it with somebody that you like, share it with somebody that you love. I'm grateful for every single person that has listened to any of my episodes and has also subscribed, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 35 of the A7E podcast, guys. This is your host, Jiggadrin. Until next time.